Hi, and welcome to the 10 square meter workshop. Recently I've been experimenting with a quieter vacuum system. More after this. Those of you who follow my channel will know I have an external dust extraction system. This is fed from a port in the wall. It's very effective, having great suction and flow, but no one could describe it as quiet. Not the sort of thing you'd want to run early in the morning or late at night. So for some time I've been looking to make it quieter. First I experimented with a VFD motor in place of the standard universal brushed motor. Having replaced the router on my CNC machine with one, I know how much quieter they are. See below for my video on that conversion. It made little difference. The noise from the impeller was just as loud. I 3D printed a larger impeller so I could run it at a lower speed, but this was not an improvement, although it removed an awful lot of air. Then I tried a baffle system, box within box within box, Russian doll style. Such a system worked well on my CNC extractor, but that was a smaller unit. It made little difference to my main unit. Most of the noise is low frequency, and that is hard to remove with baffles, however well padded. You need mass to quieten low frequencies. Sometimes lead panels are used. I first thought of a concrete box. It would have to be well sealed and with access for maintenance. Tricky. Then it dawned on me. Dry sand is both heavy and lots of internal friction to absorb the vibrations. I made a number of design decisions. I put the unit inside my workshop. There's space at the end of my lathe that's not being used. This makes it quieter, and it means it doesn't have to be weatherproof. I would use sand as a sound insulation, with the motor impeller box completely surrounded in sand. It would be movable for access. It would be dedicated to my overhead collection system. My current arrangement would stay for equipment such as my table saw. It was built as a number of modules. First was the inner box containing the motor impeller. I bought a spares unit intended for the Henry range of vacs. I chose this because of the quality of construction. It is made of alloy castings, not bent tin, and includes a temperature trip as standard. It is significantly better built than the one in my drum-style dust extractor. It was mounted in a wooden box of 9mm ply, just big enough to hold it. The air passes through the windings on the way out, so overheating is not a problem. The inlet and outlet tubes were 3D printed and are 50mm in size to take the tubing used. It was well sealed, with the side removable for repair, bedded in silicon. The main chamber is 300 by 300 by 450mm made from 12mm ply. This was mounted on a wheeled trolley with legs, allowing access to the exhaust pipe, which will connect to a tube to the outside world. Not having exhaust to the workshop means I don't need a filter. Anyone who's looked inside a shop vac that has a cyclone system in front of it after several months and seen a light dusting of dust on the bottom knows how little gets past the cyclone. The finest dust, however, is not good for your lungs and is better elsewhere. The inner box was held in place on two stands temporarily in the main chamber as the sand was added. It was also lowered in and tethered by a rope. The sand was wet as bought and was spread out to dry. Wet sand is not good for the purpose. An inner plastic sack was used to ensure no leaks. When the bottom of the box was covered up, the supports were removed. It took around 40 kilograms of sand to fill. That makes the trolley very stable. The dust chamber is cantilevered out the front, high enough to be removable without moving the trolley. The cyclone is attached to the lid, which is secured to the top module, which is also made from 12mm ply. An input socket on one side takes power, and there is a feed on the other side for tools. The front has two switches. One arms the unit with an indicator light, and the other is a manual switch. If mains-powered tools are being used, the current these take is detected and turns the vac on. I have a video that details how to do this. For cordless tools, there is a remote for switching on and off. A few 3D printed parts were used to go through the workshop wall and as connectors. 50mm internal tube links the overhead piping to the cyclone to the back chamber, and the exhaust to the outlet.
The result? Quieter and even more powerful. Indeed, it can suck in the sides of the collecting bin. I've never seen that before. But that is fine. It's easier to reduce power than it is to increase it. So I next fitted a speed controller to the motor. I was going to build this, but they're so cheap on Amazon it's not really worth the effort. I bought one that's massively overrated, as driving motors can cause issues. Testing showed it did the job perfectly, giving a wide range of operations. I found the lowest lever I'd want to use, such as for orbital sanding, and measured the value of resistance this required. The last thing you want when changing a level is to fiddle with a volume control type of adjustment, so I fitted a 4-position switch, giving steps of suction. This is fitted to the front of the unit. The result of all this? On a sound level meter, the back measures over 80 dB when bare. Now it's just a 63 to 65 dB, which is a massive reduction. But a word of warning, sound levels are a crude measurement of noise. What is really important is how annoying the sound is. Because it's now predominantly a much lower frequency, it is much less obtrusive. Could I get it lower? Possibly. But then it would be so much quieter than the tools I'm using, it would be quite pointless. You wouldn't hear the difference. All in all, I'm very pleased with the result. I have a dust collector that is very effective and as quiet as this practically can be. It takes no space that is useful, and it's simple to use. I can select the power needed for different tasks, so the hose is not trying to pull the tool from my hands. The motor unit and ply cost about half what a drum style extractor would cost, and it's both smaller and better. Sound may be unconventional, but it works. I hope you found this journey of mine interesting and perhaps useful. Subscribe for more. See you soon.